All right. Hey, good morning, everyone. I am live right now. Let me see if I can kind of go through what I want to talk about today. And as you guys all, or most of you guys probably know already, we have a live stream every Sunday, roughly around 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock, depending on when I wake up usually, which is, about 8 p.m. No, not 8 p.m., but 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. in the morning, which is typically when I wake up. And today, what I really wanted to talk about was a little bit of a question that was brought up to me not during, but in one of my courses that I offer on my website. There was a student, I believe his name is Alex, that asked me about how long it really takes to really start understanding a particular language. And I guess in this case, we're talking about Swift. And how do we actually know when we become good enough to understand the actual language itself, and when we can say that we actually become a good developer. So that is what we want to discuss today. And inside of the simulator, I've set up a couple of questions, a list of questions. It's kind of like my PowerPoint slide deck. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. And it looks like quite a few people are joining the stream right now. The mute button actually works. Okay, and I'm back. Okay, so the first thing I want to mention is how we define being good as a programmer. And over the years, I've just learned so many different frameworks, different languages, and having been able to share my code with other programmers on the same team, you just start to realize how much you don't know, actually. And just realizing how much you don't know is a big step in becoming sort of like a really, really good developer. So I wanted to take the first couple of minutes to define what it means to be good, which is the first item on the list. And the definition of being good is sort of relative, so let's define what it means. And becoming good at programming in a particular language can mean different things to different people. So obviously, if you're a beginning developer, you're going to have a different type of mindset in terms of how good you can become and how good you think other people are. So in today's discussion for how good a developer is, I wanted to set the bar a little higher and define it as someone that can build out an entire application with little to kind of no references on Stack Overflow. And to me, even I can't even do this till this day. I really depend on Stack Overflow to solve a lot of my problems. Yeah. So even at like a full-time job, when I'm writing out code and trying to build out features, the normal thing to do is to think of the idea, break it down into several components, and then just start architecting it out. And during that entire process, we have to look up how certain frameworks work. For example, if you need to use like iCloud, you have to figure out the syntax for making contact with the iCloud containers, the private containers and the public containers. And that takes a lot of research just to figure out how to do. And the thing about becoming a better developer, it kind of means that you understand how to Google search for the answers that you need and implement the solutions that other people have, done so already. Okay, so that is what I would consider a good developer to be, and that's a skill level that I kind of strive for myself. Okay, so first question of the day from the live chat here, from Johan. Hello, Johan. Thank you for all of your support, the courses that you have purchased on the website, as well as the donations from the previous live streams. It really does help a lot when you guys hit that little donate button on the bottom, if you can, help out. But it's okay if you guys aren't able to do so either. So the first question is, would I consider myself a good developer? So over the years, I think I've been programming for about 10 years now. And I think I have gotten a good grasp on how to build out entire applications just by myself. And if you can become a full stack developer over the course of your career, I think you can call yourself a good programmer. Yeah, I think everyone should strive to be sort of a full stack, developing on the back end, and then making sure you can build out either the mobile side or the web browser side. And then, that's a lot of what certain companies really seek for in terms of a software developer. Okay, so that's the first topic of the day. And so how many years does it take to become a good developer? And that's often the question that a lot of my students ask me, either in my class or, just offline. So let's see, because the topic of programming is so vast and deep, you'll never really be able to learn everything that there is to offer in programming and software development. And based on my experience with just talking to colleagues and other engineers in the field, we typically agree on roughly like 5 to 7 years is when you sort of hit your stride and when you really start to understand everything that there is to software development. I mean, obviously you're not going to understand everything, but you have a really good idea as to what's out there and how you can find a solution to the problem that you're trying to solve. It typically takes like maybe 3 years to figure out, I'm kind of bad at programming, and then the next couple of years you really start to solidify your skill set, and then after 5-7 years you become really confident and knowledgeable in the fact that you can figure out how to solve the particular problem that you're facing. And when I say 5 to 7 years, it's full time, 8 to 10 hours a day programming at a job. And when you're programming at a job, the environment is totally different. So 5 to 7 years by yourself, I think it's totally different compared to 5 to 7 years at a real world company. So real world experiences does matter. Okay, so someone mentioned my new sweater here. This is actually not a new sweater, but it was someone close to me gave me this sweater. That's all I'm going to say about the sweater. Okay, so back to the list. So how long or why does it take so long to become a good programmer? Well, the journey of learning the programming discipline involves quite a bit of personal and professional development. Working in a team environment definitely changes your perspective on what kind of code is easy to maintain and also read for newcomers and experts, trying to modify our code and implement new features. Personally, I've been able to learn a lot simply through absorbing knowledge from senior developers and architects, and also looking through open source code bases. Now, I do recommend or suggest that if you're trying to learn better habits, Max Nelson, very good guess. I can neither confirm nor deny that that is true. Maybe she's watching the stream. Personally, I've been able to become a lot just more knowledgeable and having a better understanding for when I'm doing things incorrectly when I'm programming, and having a mentor that you can really trust can take you a lot further than just figuring out things on your own. For example, trying to learn MVC, all these frameworks and patterns, right? It's a lot easier when someone has the experience in doing it already, and then they show you their code-based style as to like, oh, here's the model, here's the view, here's the controller, here's how it all fits together, instead of you trying to haphazardly figure it out on your own. So that's kind of why it takes really, really long. Like, working at a software company is the best way to understand the things that you do not understand yet. Okay. So let's see. Have I launched this thing onto Twitter yet? Okay. So I'm trying to manage like 10 different things at the same time during this live stream. So you might see me on and off as I kind of show you guys some more stuff here. If you guys want to join the Facebook group that is available on Facebook, obviously, you guys can join the group here where we have polls and also discussion as to things that are happening regarding Firebase and the warnings, compiler errors, things like that, and also other useful discussion for you guys to learn about. And this is also where I post some of the new videos that I upload to YouTube, just so you guys don't miss out on them. I know sometimes YouTube doesn't fire off all those push notifications to your device, so sometimes it's useful to be in this group. And other than that, let me just hit up Twitter here with my live stream. So live streaming on becoming a good programmer. So how are you guys doing, by the way? Okay, tweet it out. Okay. All right. Hello from India. Okay. Alexander Key, really enjoying the Instagram course so far. You should all check it out. Yeah. For anyone that is trying to, I guess, figure out the Instagram application, we are building it out using Firebase. And currently we are all the way on episode 25, which was uploaded 2 days ago. And someone commented that they were surprised that the channel and the website is just a one-man show. Oh, allergies. All right. So let's see. Let me move this out of the way here. Okay. Max Nelson says that he's a full stack teacher entertainer too. Are you referring to me, Max, or someone else? One thing that is kind of interesting, I guess is the word, is that it takes a lot to actually become a YouTuber. Right, so like an entertainer on YouTube, trying to set up a live stream, record everything, make sure you understand how the technical equipment works, putting together these videos, editing all these videos together. All that is kind of part of the package of uh, becoming like an entertainer online. And I recently started to realize that it takes like a different type of person to put this stuff together. And it's been an interesting past year and 2 months, I guess. Yeah. Well, Johan Albrechtsen, thank you for the $10. DKK, the Danish kroners. Danish, I don't know what a KK dollar is. Yeah. So Max Nelson says that true. I made 4 videos, took like 8 hours per video, and they blow. That's not necessarily true, Max. I think I watched a few of your videos. I think I made a suggestion of purchasing like a mic or a pop filter. That definitely helps. The thing people don't realize is that the microphone that you have is probably, I don't know, 70% of the entire video. If you can't capture a good audio source, it's really difficult to watch, especially a programming tutorial, because it's just really important that someone sounds decent over the microphone. And you just got to make sure you don't pop, don't pop your P's and you don't blow into the mic. It's really, really important. Okay, so enough YouTube talk. Let's see. Let me see who's all the way up here. So, all right, we have Prasanth, Nikolai, Raphael. Is that my friend Raphael? No, it's not. Yeah, wow. Cool AF. I guess I'll take that as a compliment. Wow, so many new faces inside of the stream currently. I can't really tell how many people are watching right now. So let me pull up the live stats here. Okay, we have 133 people watching. It feels like live stream is really taken off on multiple platforms. We have the Facebook live stream, Twitter Periscope. I think there's Instagram stories, and just so many different platforms like Twitch that allows you to just communicate with your fans and people that are interested in watching someone live over a camera. Yeah. Okay, Roger Laxon, your collection view is awesome. Yeah. For those of you guys that haven't used collection views yet, you'll notice that all of my videos will typically use a collection view. And I think I've mentioned this before, but UI table views is like the little brother to a UI collection view. So obviously you want to use the mature, bigger brother version of a list, which is a UI collection view. Yeah. And yeah, so setting up UI collection view takes about the exact amount of time. All right, and we have Zhao Fei Hong, best quality YouTube programming channel. I'm considering maybe making a Chinese only channel where I teach in Chinese. It's going to be a really, really tough challenge though, especially from a non-native Chinese speaker. Okay, let me get back to the video and the topics at hand. Can you guys hear the music? I didn't really want it to be too loud. Just having the music makes me focus a little bit better. Yeah, how many of you guys listen to music while you guys program? It's something that I have to do, otherwise I just get really, really I get lost in my own brain if I don't have music, which is how I find myself being more productive. The music helps me like drown out my own thoughts, which is kind of counterintuitive, but that's how it works for me. All right, Praneeth, thank you for the 100 I'm gonna guess those are rupees. I don't know. I have no idea what that sign is. So typically the music that helps me the most is not sometimes EDM. I think hip hop is a little too strong for me when I'm programming. I know that I like listening to sometimes Asian music that I don't understand, because what I'm really looking for is a beat or certain rhythm in music that can help me ignore my own thoughts a little bit. And because programming is something that it starts to become part of my like subconscious, so that when my subconscious kind of takes over, it is easier to program. And the music allows my subconscious to kind of uh, bring my subconscious to the foreground. I think we can use that analogy. Yeah, I I find that silence from Xavier. I find that silence helps me when I'm editing videos. Yeah, there's no way I can edit videos with music. Um, and when I need to write things down on pen and paper, I find that silence and just absolutely silent environment helps me out a lot. Okay, so again, Praneeth, thank you for the helpful donation via super chat, which is this right here. Someday we'll get a $50 USD donation to the channel, and then I'll buy you guys a round of beer if that ever does happen. We'll see. So I think we are on. Are there any shortcuts to your road and your journey on becoming a good software developer? So there aren't a lot of shortcuts that I know of that you can take to, gaining all that experience and knowledge that you need to just understand how to become a good software developer. I think a huge part of becoming good at programming deals with watching your own software crash and burn, especially in a production environment. Now, when you're working on a staging environment or a debug environment, a lot of things can go wrong, but it's only when you're in production where you're actually working with servers that are contacting like payment processors and a analytics server and multiple databases, and your servers being routed behind some kind of proxy maybe. When all those things come into play, your production server and your code really, really hits the shit hits the fan, and you have to deal with how to fix your code like on the spot. That's when it becomes really interesting. And no matter how many times you try to prevent certain things from happening in production, they'll always find, your users will always find a way to crash your code, and then to take down your entire server for perhaps hours at once. Yeah. And you can only experience this over time through multiple release cycles of your code. So every time you see a bug in your code, right, you typically will write a unit test for that particular bug, and then you release your code again. You'll notice that, this bug is now fixed, but some other area of your code needs to be improved so that further bugs can be avoided during production. Yeah. And furthermore, having a huge variety of users use your application will transform your coding style a lot. Yeah, especially during UI development, this transformation of how you want your users to interact with your application really changes the moment you see someone like go in a different workflow than you would expect. So yeah. I don't think there is a real easy way to shortcut the process. Okay, and then finally, any tips to, I guess, students that are learning how to become a seasoned developer, a veteran programmer. And I mentioned to a student that programming is very, very similar to acquiring a second language as an adult. And when I say second language, I mean like a spoken language. For example, if I were to learn like Japanese or Spanish, it'd be very difficult for me. And I've actually tried to learn Japanese on my own, which is really hard. And then one thing I realized is that whenever you're learning something completely different, you have to be really patient and have the expectations of not understanding everything the first time you come in contact with it. And so, for example, even when you have like typed out the same lines of code multiple times, it can take weeks or months to even fully understand what the code is doing. So sometimes, you'll just watch my videos and you watch me typing out these lines of code and you're like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. And then you look back at the code like a week later and you're like, I really don't understand what this line is doing. And then, over the maybe next couple of days, you start to implement that same code yourself. And then it's like, oh, I kind of see what's happening here. I kind of understand the thought process and the logic that we're trying to implement with those couple of lines of code. And again, writing out every line of code is super important because it really starts to become part of you when you type out the lines. That's kind of why I avoid using storyboards. When you're using storyboards and you drag and drop, you don't understand fully 100% what's going on. And at the same time, a lot of the students that are taking that Firebase Instagram course, a lot of them are saying that through programming, they can start to understand UI kit on a like totally different level. For example, like pushing things onto the navigation controller stack, you don't really understand how that works using the storyboard. And then sometimes you want to do things manually and you just can't do it if you rely on the visual editor too much. So those are my kind of takeaways for programmatically building out everything. Okay, so that's kind of the last topic for today. Bonus material, seeing as how I kind of came late today to the live stream. Yeah, Max Nelson. I haven't left yet. I hate storyboards. It feels like it divides things too much. Yeah. I mean, a storyboard is a storyboard. It's just another visual editor. And there's nothing really wrong with visual editors, but you have to think about even this YouTube website itself and try to convince the YouTube engineers to build out the YouTube website using a visual editor, right? You'll never be able to get anything done. Like, think about how many lines of code you would have to maintain. Like, with a visual editor, it's extremely slow. Yeah. So there you go. We have a magical grid here. And it seems like a lot of you guys found it really, really interesting, this magical grid guy. And I'm going to show you something that you can do right here. And hopefully I don't draw out anything too inappropriate in the video today. So I'm going to draw this out. And, I guess some of you guys can guess what this is. And, just have some fun here. This is just a face, guys. This is nothing dirty. And that's that. And there's that right there. So let's see who wants me to draw something else. Maybe I'll draw something. Let's see if this becomes a part of the show here. I guess there's this, and then Maybe I'll get banned if I draw out the rest of the shape here. So here's, okay. Here's a car, guys. Here's a car. It's a car. It's nothing phallic. It's a car, guys. It's a car. Okay, I think I'm having a little bit too much fun here. And there's a road. There's a road, guys. This is the road. So I have the video for how to do this already queued up for Monday. So once you guys watch the the Monday video, you'll be able to see how you can create this application where you draw this out yourself as well. So a lot of interesting things that you can do with this app. I feel like if you really wanted to release this on the App Store, you can actually make something quite nice out of it. And so here's the problem with this is that you can't help yourself from drawing drawing really phallic items on here. This is what is this? Even something very, very non, what is it? Non-sexual will end up just looking like this is a cigarette. This is a pencil, guys. So this is just a pencil. Okay, I think some of you guys are starting to perhaps leave the channel here. Yeah, I think I'm having, too much fun. So it's just a pencil, guys. Jeez. It's just a pencil. It's a number 2 pencil. I don't know if you international folks understand what a number 2 pencil is. Yeah, or it's a cigarette. Or a mushroom. Yeah. I don't know, this is kind of fun. You know, sometimes you got to make applications that entertain you. And this is definitely one of them. So, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. I can draw this out just all day. And once you guys, this is actually a lot more fun using your finger because the traction and the detection of the the touches, it's a lot more accurate. So it's more fun with your finger. Okay. So this is the beginning of the universe here. Big Bang, where everything starts to separate and all the planets and all the galaxies are starting to form. This is a car. Oh man. Nothing better than like 10-year-old humor, huh, guys? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's a sniper tower. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. How many of you guys have questions that you want to ask before I kind of leave you today? I haven't had my lunch yet, but it's still quite early. It's just 11:30 a.m. on the west coast of the United States here. And that's kind of all I had prepared for today. Again, anyone that wants to join the Facebook group, you can definitely feel free to go check it out. It's yeah, a lot of people are coming in, coming out. Currently there's about like I would say 1,000 people in the group. Members. Surprising that this actually works during my live stream, but there's about 1,133 users in the Let's Build That App Facebook group, which has a lot of interesting discussion, conversation in the forum, I guess. And that's the Facebook group. And the question here is from Alex that I was mentioning earlier. I would like to perhaps show it to you guys. See if I can make this a little bit bigger here. I don't know how large the font is on your screen. So this is the course. This is that Kindle Basic Training course. And he says that, now I don't want to put Alex on the spot here. I don't know which Alex this is. So he says that, "Hey Brian, please don't take my comment as being in anger or dissatisfaction. I really like what you are doing on YouTube and on this site. However, I am a beginner and I worry I am missing something. Not only am I finding the course very fast, I am continually wondering why is he doing that? Why is it done like that? And worry that I am missing some critical understanding because you often say that things are easy or straightforward, but I am really struggling to understand how you got to those conclusions and am not finding it easy or straightforward. For example, creating a page property of type page in the book class took me hours to get my head around." Yeah. So, whenever I'm saying something is straightforward or easy, I don't typically mean that it's like I don't really mean for it to be super easy to understand, but I guess I mean it's easy to type out and to just put the code inside of your editor is the straightforward part of it. But you're right. You're definitely right about taking hours to actually understand the logic behind it. It does take a bit of time, and it helps to have a lot of practice on putting properties in classes and setting up the project yourself a couple of times, and then you really start to understand the flow of the things that I'm thinking about. And then he goes on to say, "For example, I was completely lost at 8 minutes and 21 seconds creating a book object. Calling it a book completely threw me when it came to the nested for loop at the end, which had an iterator, which was also called book. Firstly, I had absolutely no chance of doing that on my own. And secondly, I was wondering why you only need to print values on book title, book page." And this is kind of what I was mentioning about having to just type out code and then just doing like you just have to see someone type out the code a couple of times, and then you kind of understand what's available for you to try out on your own. Programming isn't really something that you understand. Like programming, you should not expect programming to be like a philosophy or something where someone explains to you why things work a certain way. Programming is something that you have to just start doing yourself, and then you start to understand the logic behind it. Like it's hard to have someone embed their knowledge into like your mental thought processes. So, and after watching these two videos on how to create classes and loops, I would have absolutely no chance of doing this on my own without the material you just covered to basically copy from. I had no chance of doing the challenge in this video and can't say that I could apply custom classes or for loops to any situation at all. Yeah, this is a basic training course, meaning that it's just meant to kind of walk you through some of the basics of Swift and allowing you to understand what's available Like truly understanding it takes a bit of time, like I mentioned earlier, and it takes different projects for you to work on before you can start to feel like, oh, that was why he did it that way, and this is the bit of code I need in my next feature that I build out. Again, it takes time. You cannot expect to learn this in 1 or 2 lessons. That's why it takes us years and years and years of working on multiple projects to get good at it. Yeah. And reading, this is why reading books, like reading coding books, is something that I do not recommend. Like coding books should be used as a reference and not a tool for actually saying that, oh, I can learn through this book. It's a good way to kind of get a sort of a shallow understanding of what is that noise, of what a programming language can do, but you can't really say that you fully understand how to build out features just by reading a book. It takes like days and days and days of writing out the code, and then you can finally understand what it's doing. And then he goes on to say, the reason I bring this up is because a total beginner, I believe, will have absolutely no idea what is going on. My question is, are we, or should we understand why things are done this way? Are they just, or no, why things are done the way they are, or just go with it for now? Striding on without understanding. So you have the perfect understanding of what you actually need to do already, Alex. You do have to just kind of you have to observe why someone is doing things the way they are doing it. And then you do have to just continue on and striding on without understanding. And that's the strange part about programming. And when you're going through university, college, I found myself not understanding what my instructors were doing either. And then they kind of send you home with a homework assignment, and then you start to work on that assignment, and that's when you actually say, oh, okay, that was what he meant by that 30-minute lecture that he gave today. So yeah, it's good. Alex, this is a very, very good question, and I'm really, really glad that you brought this to my attention, because a lot of students have actually talked to me about this as well, and it's something that you will get used to. And I've definitely gotten used to the process of looking at someone do something and then not understanding it for the first couple of minutes, and then it starts to sink in, and you start to understand that it's just new code, it's just a new framework that this person is using, and I will have to take a couple of days to look at the code before I understand what is going on. That's how I've grown as a developer, and that's how I typically learn from someone else nowadays. So and again, further down below, Alex, I've already mentioned that you have a pretty good understanding of how things work already. Like all of the expectations that you have, you already understand that it's hard. And I think you're already on a very, very good trajectory, and you have a good sense of what you need to understand now. And you're already on your way, I would say. Okay. All right. So let's see. If you create the Instagram app, it's empty. How can you make some suggestion to the user to fill the home feed with content? I don't really understand what this question is asking. So Esan, if you've purchased the course, we were able to upload photos into the Instagram feed on the home controller. And as you are uploading or sharing posts, you can also share caption text, and that will fill up your home feed with cells and items and all your posts. How can you make some suggestions to the user to fill the home feed? Oh, okay, I get the question now. Yeah, so when the home feed is totally empty, I would suggest putting some text in the middle of the view controller that will say, hit this button to add in or to share your first post, and that should launch the photo selector, and then they will share their first post. Yeah, it's a very good question. I remember the very first app that I worked on, we spent like 2 weeks just figuring out the onboarding steps for the user to learn how to use the application. So it definitely requires a lot of thought to set up the proper first time use case for the user. Yeah. Yeah. Do not learn C++ as a first language. Is that true, or is that a good thing to say? C++, I have not really programmed in C++ in probably a decade. The last time I used C++ was for a graphics programming assignment. I can't remember if it was the shaders or the what was that one program I built like a long time ago? It was like to render out a ray tracer is what it's called. I think I built out a ray tracer using C++, which was extremely difficult for me because I just did not understand programming way back then. So Nyok Tai Cao? No, Tai Chao? Jiao? Is that how you say that in Vietnamese? I really should have better Vietnamese because my parents speak Vietnamese, but I can't speak any Vietnamese at all. So he says, my advice to Alex, don't take Brian's videos as your only source. Keep learning from Brian and refer to Apple Documentation's Stack Overflow. You will find Brian's analogy of teaching is quite comprehensive. Yeah. Yeah, so, I do agree with this. And yeah, so the thing about instructors is that you'll find many, many different styles of teaching from various instructors. My style of teaching is very deliberate in the way that I don't explain very much. And I personally did not enjoy the instructors that over-explained topics. So what I mean is, when instructors used to start their lectures with this huge discussion about like what pointers are and what arrays are used for, I find that to be kind of counterintuitive. And I learned through practical examples. So I found that the instructors that started off with something I can actually visually understand and it give me an actual practical use case, those are the instructors that I learned from the most. So I model most of my videos based off that kind of pattern. Like, you can kind of tell that all of my videos start off with, okay, here's what we are going to work on today. We're going to walk through the practical use case and the example that we have seen before so that you guys understand the context. And then that's all I do to set up the lesson environment. And based on that, we start to code. And then each step of the way, we run the application so that you understand what each line of code does. And that's how I find myself learning, and that's how I find teaching to be the most effective. Um, and I think a lot of people have found it helpful. I know it's not the only way to teach, and I know it's not the best way for people to pick up on the language, but I think it is effective in a way. Okay, so I feel like we're discussing JavaScript and C++. JavaScript is good for beginners. JavaScript is good for beginners. I don't know if I would agree with that. I guess, I suppose JavaScript is okay. I would say that after learning all the languages that I know, like I think Swift is one of the easier languages to learn, and the main reason is because I guess I have all the questions here. So the main reason is because I think Swift provides the right amount of tools and the correct environment. For example, you have the emulator or the simulator, and then you have Xcode, and that's kind of all you need. And you have the run button, and all of that takes to set up is to download Xcode. If you're trying to build out something using JavaScript, you actually need to know how to set up the web page so that it executes the JavaScript. And then the web page is usually built using HTML. So it's like there's kind of a lot going on. I would probably, I don't know, I would maybe suggest learning Swift first. Although Swift there's a lot of it's a kind of a steep learning curve because you have to learn about how UI table views work, delegates, collection views, buttons. So it's hard to say. Will you design a tutorial using UI Stack View? There are a couple of those lessons in the Instagram course that uses the UI Stack View for laying out buttons. And so, for example, we have this vertical set of buttons, and they are all the same height. And I just use a UI Stack View to make that really, really simple to build out. And then we have horizontal buttons of the same width. And again, using a UI Stack View makes it very simple and easy. So Nok Tai Zhao, you pronounce my name really well. I'm studying in Singapore, and most Asian cannot pronounce my name well, like you just did. Cow. The last name is pronounced like cow. Cow. Yeah. Nok Tai Cao. Cow. Cow. I can't really get the Vietnamese accent down. I mean, I can say like Một Hai Ba Bốn Năm Sao Bảy Đam Chính Mười. That's the extent of my Vietnamese. Yeah. Unless you guys want to hear. Yeah, I can definitely speak Chinese a lot better than the Vietnamese itself. Okay, so we have Suleiman Omari. I guess we're going to talk about the Instagram course now. If you build the Instagram, the home feed is empty. Is there any possibility to make suggestion to the user who to follow? Could you build this in the course because this is a main feature? I want to build out a lot of things that I haven't mentioned in the Instagram preview video yet. And I feel like this is definitely one of those things that have to be or has to be addressed. So I will show you guys perhaps how to build out like a suggestion box and perhaps recommend some viewers or users to follow, which I don't think should be that difficult. But if there are no users in the system, that might be a little trickier. But we'll see. I'll think of something. I'll definitely think of something. it's not difficult to think of creative ideas and creative solutions to fix the problems. Uh, the idea that I had the other day was to build out a tutorial on how to select the correct passenger to eject from your airplane. Not eject, that sounds like a horrible word, but to how to find the correct volunteers to deplane your aircraft. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. And when the proper passengers that have paid for their tickets and have sat on their seats, when they defy authority that comes in to eject them from the plane, how do we resolve that situation? Yeah, it's a very, very strange story that we're seeing from United. It's definitely very, very strange, right? You see a guy being dragged off an airplane, and it's like, it's very strange, very strange. I mean, he's gonna make like a lot of money now, and if I can be in his position of being drug out of a plane and make millions of dollars, then maybe I would do it too. So let's see. Where did you go to college? Do you major in CS or software engineering? Are you asking me that, Jacob? So I went to the College of UC Berkeley in California, and maybe some of you guys have heard of that college. And I majored in applied mathematics and industrial engineering, but I took most of the undergraduate requirements for computer science, and I ended up getting an applied mathematics degree, which is not all that helpful. But you just have to do what you have to do in college to get out of there. I personally, I didn't really enjoy my time at college, so I don't enjoy school a lot, just in general. Yeah, school's not my thing. Even though the school I graduated from is quite popular. Silicon Valley, yep, seen it. Stripe and Firebase, any thoughts? So my website currently uses Stripe as the payment processor, and then I think we used Stripe for the Touch of Modern application as well. And then Stripe and Firebase, I haven't really seen like any type of integration with Firebase yet. I mean, I feel like Stripe is just a payment processor that takes in credit cards, and should not be too difficult to build out. Bo Tao, Li Bo Tao. What do you think about the future of Swift? I think that Swift is going to evolve and change when Swift 4 comes out, but it's not going to be that drastic of a change from Swift 2 to Swift 3. And then Swift 4 will be much stabler. And then Swift 5 will introduce a lot of performance enhancements. Because currently, when you're typing out Swift, it's extremely slow. Like the autocomplete doesn't work. Xcode will tend to not know what your classes are doing at certain points in time. And I feel like they have to address those performance issues, because it's currently a lot faster to just type out things in JavaScript, honestly. And sometimes I feel like I might just go with React because typing out JavaScript code is just a lot faster. Have you ever thought of creating your own social networking app and earning billions? If I had your Swift knowledge, I would be watching a movie in my jacuzzi now. I can't say that my end goal is to earn billions of dollars. I would rather do something more impactful with my short time on this planet. I feel like earning billions of dollars isn't something I value so much. I mean, there's nothing wrong with earning $1 billion, and you will definitely affect a lot of people through that process. Um, but yeah, changing the world through this YouTube channel, I feel like is a small step into where I want to go in the future. How was your first programming job? How did you get it? What was the biggest challenge you found? So my first programming job was just a software support engineer, and I programmed a lot there, but not that was not my primary task at that job. So what was the biggest challenge? Well, learning .NET and C Sharp was kind of a challenge. I mean, it was a lot of fun, so I wouldn't say it was a challenge. And then, I can't say that there's each job has its own challenges, but I can't really think of anything that was super, super challenging. The biggest challenge that I've ever had at a single job in the last 10 years was when I wasn't performing that well at a particular company. And there was one time where my the senior engineer at this particular company gave me a very, very strong, not strong, but a poor evaluation on my part. And I had honestly thought that I wasn't really doing that well at the job anyways. And I really wanted to actually quit and leave and try something else. But I actually stuck it through for like a couple of years. And that was actually where I learned the most out of all of my jobs, because of someone else thinking that I was not performing that well. I kind of had to prove to them and prove to myself that I had what it took to just perform. Even thinking back on it now, I kind of feel like I could have done better. But, learning process. We all get better whenever we face new challenges. Hey, Farouk Bass. I hope you're doing well. I practice your videos so much every day. I see you more than my friends. Haha. It's funny that you mentioned that, Farouk. There's someone else. You might have seen her around. I think her username is Vina Melody. And she said that when she's watching my videos, she has it like on full screen, and her friends that walk by and watch what she's doing, they always see my face, like my full screen face on the channel or on the video on her monitor. And they ask her if like that's her long distance boyfriend or something, because I'm constantly on her other monitor because she's always watching my videos. Yeah. So there's one interesting statistics metrics on the YouTube channel, and currently the channel has a watch time of like 20 years. So think about 20 years. I've been on people's screens for 20 years, ever since last year, which I feel like is quite scary. Okay, would you love tutorials with that? Especially, I would love tutorials on Stripe and Firebase and iOS, specifically subscription integration and how-tos. Yeah. I can't say that it's easy to use Stripe with Firebase. Yeah. So I currently use Stripe, and I integrated a subscription package where I built out the subscription module, and it takes a lot of server knowledge and server code. I can't see Firebase allowing us to do that easily. For example, I have to save a lot of customer information, like not like sensitive information, but you have to deal with the customer's ID, and then associating things like errors and figuring out why certain payment types can't be resolved correctly. And yeah, I mean, it takes quite a bit of code to do that properly. Yeah. So when I started iOS development, I started with Objective-C about 5 years ago. I had an iPad 2 that I built on, like the really heavy iPad 2. What do you think about React Native? I don't know what hybrids or platforms are. Can they replace native development? There's always going to be native development. Like native development is never going to go away, just because it's easier to learn. React Native is difficult to get good at, and a lot of the React Native engineers at Facebook actually say that you should be a good native developer before you become a React Native developer. So that's what the Facebook team says themselves. Do you use a Mac or Windows? Do I use a Mac or Windows? Well, it would be pretty difficult to develop iOS applications using Windows. I used to use Windows, and then I stopped. Please expand the Instagram series with more than functionalities. I would pay more if you expand it because it is so helpful. We can apply it on. We can apply it in our own projects. I hope there will be 60 videos. Solomon Omari. So, that's really good feedback. I really like and enjoy hearing that you guys are getting so much out of each and every video. And I don't know if you can tell, but every video I try to pack as much information into each video as I can, just so I can make sure. I'm really trying to make sure I don't go over like 50 videos, because it's like after 30 videos or so, it really drains. It's really draining. Let's just put it that way. To make so many videos and to make sure everything is, you're constantly building off of the previous video, which it's a marathon, right? Let's just put it that way. It's definitely a marathon. Sometimes I surprise myself being able to put together like 30 videos together. Apple Pay integration. Have you ever considered doing you test our apps? Yeah, I've thought about testing out apps that you guys submit. I think that's a really interesting idea to engage you guys and have some kind of interaction with the viewers on the channel. It's not that it gets boring after a while, but it'd be interesting to have a back and forth with you guys, not just all me, even though a lot of YouTubers are all about themselves, just me. Are you interested in cybersecurity? What knowledge do you have on that field, and what tips do you have to enter that field? I think cybersecurity is such a important topic, and it's often overlooked whenever you're building out your applications, right? It wasn't until iOS 8 that they introduced the SSL requirement for applications in the App Store. So definitely overlooked, and I feel like it's it takes a huge amount of effort to implement the correct amount of security measures for your apps. How many hours a day do I code? So when I used to work full time, I coded probably like 8 hours probably. You stay at you get to the company, you get to your job at around 9 p.m. or 9 a.m. And then, you have your coffee, you chit chat for a while, then you have your meetings, and then you finally get to sit down and code. And by then you only have like 5 hours left. So, you program for 5 hours at the job, and you come home and you program some more. So you get like 6 to 7 hours. Freelance sites like Upwork.com. I've never really used Upwork, so How can we build a launch screen for our app in code? I don't think that's possible. I tried doing it in code, but when you try to execute code during the launch phase, the application actually stops working. The simulator even tells you to not, or tells you cannot execute any custom code during the launch phase. Hello, I'm new in programming. I'm new in this programming thing. It really draw my attention. How and would like to start with C++. Is it good for a total newbie? I think that whatever language you enjoy programming in makes a huge difference, especially if you're trying to learn like the basics of programming. If you enjoy C++, by all means, go ahead and learn C++. And typically, whatever resources you have is the best thing to use, right? Yeah, I'm not going to discourage anyone from learning any type of language. It's really up to you. Don't you hate that Macs are expensive for the specs? I have a 2015 MacBook Pro with 8 gigs and an i5 sometimes struggles with Xcode and few other programs open. Yeah. So Jesus or Jesus Adolfo, I paid about $2,500 for my current MacBook Pro setup. It has 16 gigs of RAM, 512 SSD, some kind of i5 processor, I believe. And it's extremely expensive. You're right. And so some of you guys have said that the compiler on my videos, when I hit the run, you guys feel that it's really, really fast. And it takes a couple of seconds to compile for me. So I can only imagine how long it takes for like a MacBook Air, which is a lot slower. I remember my students in boot camp, they had a MacBook Air, and then I would sit next to them and help them debug their code. And I would have to wait like 20 seconds for them to actually compile and run. And then we can finally figure out, oh, we missed out this line of code, go back to the code, wait another 30 seconds, and then finally see the change, which is, frustrating to say the least. How long did you learn this UI collection view? UI collection view does not take that long. It's just like a table view. Works just the same. You get horizontal alignment or scroll direction, and you get benefits of, drawing out cells in a flow type of layout. So that's why I like it. Yeah, C++ is good if you need to use it for something in particular. Why you want to start with that language? Certain people just have certain certain experience that leads them to finding a language interesting, right? So I learned how to use ActionScript first, and 10 years ago, if I were to ask someone whether or not to learn ActionScript, they would say probably no. So it's hard to tell someone like, oh, don't learn this language, because it's not that helpful. Like, it doesn't really matter. Just go and learn the thing. Right. So what are the next tutorials for iOS you're planning after the Instagram course? I really want to tackle a mapping course, which uses either Apple Map Kit or Google Maps in some, way, shape, or form, because a lot of people are trying to figure out how to build out some mapping applications, and I find that it will be interesting. And perhaps it'll be like 20 to 30 episodes again, and I'll have to figure out the pricing structure for that. It's always interesting to talk about money, huh? If you don't plan a particular use, maybe use something more simpler. Yeah, just figure out what language you like the most and go for it. Wow, a lot of questions here. Wait, where am I? Yeah, where did I go? Oh boy. Okay, here we go. I've been told that it's the mother language after C, of course, and it will help me to get to know basics, but my plan is to be a specialist at mobile apps, Java or C sharp. Um, I would not learn a language based on the mother language. I would recommend learning something based on practicality instead of learning something because of its roots, if you understand what I mean. Do you settle more discipient socialism when you have, yeah, I have no idea what that means. To get motivation up, I will recommend you use a language that you have a use for. Yeah, I agree with this completely. How old am I? So I am over 30, early 30s. I have been coding for 10 years. I have learned C++ at uni and never used it again. Yeah, same here. Any students or any tips for students currently studying computer science at post-secondary? Just make sure you learn what you find interesting. That's all I can say. 5 treehouse ads and can't see the live video. Sorry, Remy. I don't think I can do anything to help you. Should I jump at Java directly without zero knowledge? I think Java is definitely better than C++ because it's just easier to get into. But even that's not true. I would say Swift is, like, honestly, I think Swift and iOS development is super, super easy to get into for beginners, especially because you hit the run button and it works. I started working on something with Stripe Firebase iOS and had to get Heroku too. Yep. So my server currently runs on Heroku. And yeah. What age did I start programming? About 17, I would say. With ActionScript, building up my own ActionScript games. Yeah. Let's see. How many years? I don't know. 7? That's it. I have a big amount of books about Java. I will start directly. Thanks a lot. Okay. I am a motivator for many people. Well, thank you for everyone for tuning in. Yeah. Okay. Can I also start making Android videos? Liked your intro to Android Studio in Ray Wenderlich. Yeah, have you guys looked at my Ray Wenderlich tutorial? I don't know if you guys are even aware of the fact that I'm on Ray Wenderlich. Let's see if I can go to Ray Wenderlich. Ray Wenderlich, Android grid or intro. I think I have 2 tutorials on the Ray Wenderlich website. I have this one which talks about the grid view, which is very similar to UI collection views, and I guess that's maybe not a coincidence. And you can kind of see myself right here. Yeah. Ray Wenderlich's website is very, very good. It's very comprehensive as well. And a lot of really, really good information you can find on this website. So, that is that. Yeah. And let's see. All right, what else can I answer before I die of starvation here? What is the advantage of learning to code using a book? I don't really know if there's really an advantage of doing that over actually programming yourself. I don't know. I guess the question is versus or comparing and contrasting between a video and a book, or perhaps blog posts online. I think the best way to learn how to program is to either watch videos or Google search Stack Overflow and Google search blog posts that are relevant to your problem, that the domain that you're currently trying to solve. Okay. Built out the magical grid app from your last video. I was wondering what would be the best way to program the layout to arrange you when you rotate the device when not using anchors. So I have a function here whenever I reset the grid that redraws everything. And when I rotate the device, I would, like, let's say I rotate the device, I would just redraw the entire grid based on how wide the device is. That's how I would handle the landscape and portrait orientations. I don't have that currently done in the grid right now, but that's how I would do it. Do I have experience with any JavaScript, HTML, CSS mobile development frameworks? And if so, what framework would you recommend? I recommend, I guess, React Native is the way to go. Do you think that we can really build a social app only through tutorials and online? I have no one to work with. Your tutorials help me a lot, but I wonder if it's going to be enough to make it happen. I think so. Facebook was built just off of, I guess, 3 people working on the team. And most social applications start out with just a couple of engineers. If not just one engineer working on the entire app. That's how it all starts. It definitely helps to have like people market and also, I guess, people that can fund your applications. What's your take on software testing career, aka Q&A, SDET? Well, testers, not really sure what software development enterprise testing. I don't know what that is. Slowly phase out in favor of developers running their own tests. That's a good question. I have worked in a company where there was a really, really large testing team, and at the same time, developers were required to write their own tests. So I don't think testing teams are going anywhere. Are you going to make a series about Objective-C? Probably not. I haven't programmed in Objective-C for a really, really long time. I mean, I could start doing it, but I don't know. The view counts would be a lot lower. I don't know if I would really want to type in Objective-C during a live recording. Might be tough. Yeah. Google Maps SDK, yep. Tricky part is custom info window, yep. Scene kit tutorials, yep. I've never done any competitive programming. I've changed my major from computer science to business administrator degree with a major in enterprise IS since I don't want to mess with C++ and learn JavaScript first. It's not how many years, it's what you learn in doing it. Yep. Code every day to make you a master. Yep. Are you planning a tutorial about how to recreate a design from sketch to Xcode? I eventually want to hire a designer to work with me. And once I have a good designer for the website and the channel, I can ask this person to give me some really good sketch designs and documents that I can work off of. But until then, I don't know. I had an idea to kind of like look at, what is it, dribbler.com or mobiledesigns.com, pull out just a random page that I think looks good and just build it out using Swift. Maybe I'll do that. How can some people dislike a live stream? I think that because sometimes I appear in people's YouTube feed that people don't want to watch the video, they'll just come in and downvote it. Okay, I think I'm getting really hungry now. What are your views on Udacity's nano degree? Well, that's an interesting question. currently in discussion with Udacity's team on what we can do together to promote iOS development. So we'll see if I am able to get something together done with the Udacity team. But it seems like everything is still in early discussion. So I don't know if anything's going to come out of it, but we'll see. Thanks for the content. I have a big interview for web developer position at the college I'm studying for. Any tips for someone who's been programming for about 2 years? Web developer, learn your JavaScript. For example, what it means to, I guess, equal versus equal, and things like that. I am not a good JavaScript developer, so I can't really recommend anything there. Yeah, memory deallocation and allocation. Yeah, it gets pretty crazy. I have not tried Xamarin, but I've tried React Native. It was really fast from what I can remember. Making a change just required you to hit one button and then the whole application changes right before your eyes. So that's a really, really big advantage to developing with React Native. Yep, Roger says just do it. Are you a spokesperson for Nike? Yeah, you just got to do it. That's what programming takes. Could you please add me to your Facebook group? Yeah, once I get done with today's live stream, I'll look at the Facebook group again. And yeah, I actually look at everyone's request to join. So I go through everyone's profile. For example, I actually look at who they are, where they're from, and if they are, software developers, so that I can get a better idea as to who's joining the group. That's kind of why it takes a while for me to process everyone's join request. Like, it's interesting to see someone from Boston, Massachusetts, from Beijing, China, and Central University of Finance and Econ. Someone that's learning finance and econ is also interested in the group. We have Moscow, Russia. Stockholm, Sweden. Wow, yeah, there's just a lot of people from all across the world coming in, learning from YouTube videos. And we have Alex Key. Good to see you again, Alex. Neil. I believe that's Neil. Neil Liu. It's hard name to pronounce there. From Australian working holiday, lives in Taiwan, Taipei. Wow. Yeah, just a lot of you guys. And I just have to make sure I look through all of these requests just for my personal curiosity before I approve of everyone. Okay. So I'm thinking about buying RX Swift from Ray Wennerlich website after I finish the Instagram series on the website. Your thoughts? I have heard good things about Ray Wennerlich's books. Reactive Swift, RX Swift, is a pretty difficult subject, and I think they probably do a good job at explaining it. So, I can't not recommend it because it's such a good resource. So, if you ever come to visit Paris, I'd be delighted to serve as a guide and offer you a drink. Pretty awesome. Thanks, Farouk. Hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I went to Paris. I was on the Eiffel Tower maybe 10 years ago at the top. Very, very nice place to be. At what point did you think you gained confidence to consider yourself a competent senior iOS developer? Uh, so confidence is a large part of being good at anything, really. Um, I think when I was able to build out the entire application at Touch of Modern, and then also interacting and modifying the backend Rails server code to make and build custom APIs, that's kind of when I felt like I had a very good understanding of iOS development. And then when I stopped using storyboards and I just built out everything programmatically so that new features were easier to integrate into the app, that's when I felt like, oh yeah, this isn't that hard. Should you worry about warnings when submitting an app? AdMob gave me about 400 when archiving. I wouldn't worry about warnings too much if they're being caused by a third-party framework. It's really hard to silence those warnings. I'm in the Navy. I don't always have internet connectivity. What's the best way to learn code offline for an extended period of time? That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. I guess you can somehow download the YouTube videos, but even that takes a lot of bandwidth, and you can't really get the newest videos. Maybe I'll provide lessons that you can download and watch offline one of these days. Is learning structures important to making professional iOS development applications? Yes, definitely learn your data structures no matter what you're doing. This program, this grid right here where I'm drawing on, it actually uses a hash map for figuring out how these squares need to be highlighted. So that's a interesting data structure that you have to understand. Hello from Ukraine. What do you think about native game development? Which framework do you prefer? I have lots of performance issues with SpriteKit even on the latest devices. I have not built out any games, so I can't really tell you whether or not SpriteKit is the best. What is the first thing we should learn or do when inheriting some project according to you? When you inherit a project, it's difficult. Try to modify the code as slowly as you can. If they have proper testing implemented, it'll be easier because you can test if any of your new additions to the code base has broken any of the core features. But it's always tough to inherit nasty bits of code. Okay, do I need to go to uni to become a successful developer? I don't think you have to, but it will. Yeah, nowadays a lot of good developers come out of boot camps. A lot of good developers are also self-taught. The only difficult part about actually becoming a developer without a college degree is that when you go on job interviews and you go on site, do some whiteboarding, they often ask you questions that you've studied during your university courses. That's the only disadvantage, I think. Out of curiosity, do you feel showing your face during tutorial videos are necessary? I think they are. When I watch other tutorials and I don't see someone's face, I just don't find it as engaging. And it helps to see someone like their expressions as they're like programming through. I don't know. I feel like it provides for better engagement. And when I see other tutorials that don't have it, I just feel like there's something missing, especially on a platform such as YouTube. There's always a face on the video, right? And when you don't see a face, you feel like this doesn't feel right. It feels like school or something. It feels like a lecture. And when you see someone's face, it's more like, oh, it's kind of fun, it's entertaining, it's a guy. You see a guy. That's what I like about it. Why are you not a Udemy instructor? You are an awesome instructor. I feel I really appreciate your work. From iFills. I think I've talked about this before, but Udemy has a lot of different restrictions and rules that they enforce for each and every one of your videos. And it's really difficult to upload my style of content on Udemy and make sure I can provide the source code, the proper descriptions, the links and all that. It's just hard for me to do that on Udemy. And I feel like Udemy is not the correct platform for the type of content I want to provide. Udemy is what you guys know as a discount course marketplace. So all of the courses are like set at $200, and then they discount it to like 75%. And I feel like that's really strange to me. Okay. How much money can I make with a simple paid app? I don't know. It's a hard question to answer. Okay. You are the best. Well, thank you. Is it possible for you to give me your opinion of my game made by Swift? Currently, I may review some apps in the future. What can you recommend about learning a Swift 3.1 and Swift 4? What's a web dev? Thanks for the free tutorials. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so it looks like, well, it's been a fun stream, everyone. And I think I'm going to have to check out for today. And hopefully you guys got something out of today's lesson. I feel like I've been talking for 2 hours already. Let me just check what the stats are for today's video. How can I tell how long this chat has gone for? Oh my God, 1 hour and 40 minutes. Jesus Christ. Keep recording with your face in it. I love to see it. Yeah. So, sometimes I see videos without a face in it, and I feel like it's just hard. It's definitely easier to produce the content that you upload without your face in it, because I have to actually capture audio from not audio, but video from my camera, and then I have to import it into Adobe Premiere, put it somewhere on the screen, make sure all of the frames are correctly placed in the right positions, and then hit the render button. So it takes quite a bit of effort to integrate the video of myself inside of the final YouTube videos. So that's the process it takes to put up video. I think, I personally think it's the interesting part of programming. Learning from someone that you can actually see helps a lot. Oh, it's cold in San Francisco, guys. Yeah. Do you mind to tell us which frameworks you use in almost every big project? Yeah, so Alamo Fire is used a lot. And I think because Alamo Fire is such a huge networking library that everyone uses, you'll find that when you work on contracting projects and freelancing gigs, and also full-time positions, like Alamo Fire is there, AF Networking is there, so it's hard to avoid using that library. Okay. Yeah. Okay, last question. Let's see. It would actually be awesome if you made a new series reviewing viewers' apps once a week. Yeah, maybe. There's a lot to learn from this. Yeah. Yep. Have you ever worked a remotion folding cell library? Have not, actually. Have you ever felt burnout in programming? Personally, no. I really have not felt any burnout in like programming, like actually physically programming apps, building out new software. I've never felt programming in that regard. But I have felt burnout in making YouTube videos. I've felt burnout in, I guess, talking with clients and figuring out what they want and what I can provide, things like that. I've felt burnt out, definitely. And yeah, there's like a lot of different ways I've felt burnt out in the past, but programming itself, I have not. Like programming is one of those things that I like really enjoy. I would rather learn how to program than go to like a nightclub, right? I don't know if a lot of you guys can agree with that statement or not. Like, honestly, I would rather sit here at home in front of a screen and learn how to program in another language than go out to the club with my friends to, I don't know. Yeah, I guess that's kind of true. But it definitely depends on the group of friends that I'm hanging out with. Sometimes I would rather go to a bar and have a couple of drinks and just sit down and relax. But at the same time, I find myself struggling with the thoughts of not being productive and not making the best out of the time that I have. So that's the struggle that we all have, I guess, how to balance the amount of time that we have to enjoy our lives and also to make it be as productive as it can be. Yeah. So I guess that's going to wrap it up for today's video. Let me see how many of you guys are in here. 85 of you guys are still here. Thanks everyone for joining me today in this live stream. I've felt like I've learned a lot from everyone's comments today. I think they call it an introvert. Yeah, definitely more introverted than extroverted is my personality. I like sometimes when I'm in a big group of people, I really don't feel the need to actually talk to anyone. I can just sit there and just observe everyone's behaviors for the entire time, and I feel like I'm okay with that. And then sometimes I will be a lot more outgoing and extroverted when I have to be. And being on YouTube is like an interesting balance between the two, because you do have to be able to communicate with an audience and being able to, talk to people on a personal level definitely helps you engage with your audience as much as you can. Sometimes I find that certain YouTubers will have a kind of a more pretentious, I don't know, is pretentious the right word, but their attitude for communicating with, their viewers doesn't exactly seem to be the correct way of talking to people in general. But who knows? Maybe I'm not doing it correctly. But yeah. You're awesome. Thank you for today's live stream. Yeah. Well, thanks everyone for joining. And I think I'm going to finish my whatever I'm cooking right now. So yeah, whatever that will turn into, maybe I'll let you guys know next week. So don't forget to tune in for the next episode and let's build that app, where I maybe will review some different applications or think of something more interesting to do. So yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Have fun, enjoy your lunch, and step outside and get some fresh air every once in a while. And apologies, Daniel, I won't be able to get to your final question. So bye bye, guys.